What's up, Sports Nation? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Today is NFL Sunday. It's December 7th, 10:53 a.m. here in good old Los Angeles. Happy holidays as well, guys. There's my holiday shirt right there. And I am curious, guys, who's here because of golf? Tell me in the comments if you're watching because you started following the channel because of golf or only because you're interested in golf. I know when I first started the channel, it was strictly golf, but then as soon as I knew that I loved more sports than one, golf wasn't the first sport I started to play, and I felt that it's my responsibility to put content out there with all sports because I love all sports. And golf isn't the only sport I played. It's not the first sport I played. My first sports I played were baseball, football, and basketball. Those are what I was playing all the way through high school. And then after high school, we all get old. And I started playing tennis and golf. Don't ask me why. I just was watching tennis during COVID and I thought, man, I love the sound of that ball coming off that racket. And in tennis, my family was playing, in golf, my family was playing golf. So I decided to follow suit and play with them. And they're two sports that I can see why people are addicted to. The best feeling in golf is probably hitting that pitching wedge, a clean pitching wedge, that 100 yard, 125-yard shot. In my opinion, that's my favorite feeling in golf. And in tennis, that's probably the clean forehand. When you hit a clean forehand hard and it makes that shotgun sound coming off your racket, it's tough to beat. And those are the two things that are addicting for tennis and golf to me, as well as, playing numerous golf courses, different layouts. That's always fun. And in tennis, it's always a different opponent. You can have someone, way below you in level, and then you can have someone way above you in level. Both really addicting sports, in my opinion. Now, the college football playoff just released the bracket. Let's get into it. Now, our top four teams are number one, Indiana, number two, Ohio State, number three, Georgia, and number four, Texas Tech. So they all have bye weeks automatically into the quarterfinals. And we got the winner of Alabama, Oklahoma playing Indiana. We have the winner of James Madison University and Oregon playing Texas Tech. We'll have the winner of Tulane and Ole Miss playing Georgia, and we're going to have the winner of Miami and Texas A&M playing Ohio State. Now, let's try to make some predictions here. Even though college football is not my personal favorite, let's see. I'm going to take Oregon over James Madison. I'm going to take them. I don't know what the spread is, but I think they're going to win by 14 or so. And who knows? James Madison, their head coach is coming here to UCLA next year, and I'm happy for UCLA. They need a coach with a good resume, and they need one that's established. So I'm going to take Oregon to beat James Madison. I'll take Alabama over Oklahoma to play Indiana. And then I'm going to take Ole Miss over Tulane to play Georgia. It sucks that Lane Kiffin is not coaching Ole Miss in these games. Can you imagine if you would have won a championship in this playoff and then leave to LSU? That would have made everything the better for Lane Kiffin. But obviously, some people were salty about Lane Kiffin taking the job. And it seemed like Ole Miss did not want Lane Kiffin to be coaching during the playoff. But who knows? I wasn't in the room. It just would have been way cooler if Lane Kiffin was able to coach in the playoff for Ole Miss, go as far as he can, and then go ahead to LSU. That would have been really cool. If Lane Kiffin would, get to the semifinals or even the quarterfinals, why not? But Ole Miss, that would have been the way cooler story for Lane Kiffin to coach in the playoff and then a happy goodbye to Ole Miss. You coached there for 6 years. He gave him his time. And then lastly, we got Miami and Texas A&M taking on the winner of that taking on Ohio State. Now I'll go with Miami. I'll take the underdog, the 10th seed to beat 7th seed Texas A&M, and then we go from there. Now let's get into some NFL scores. It's NFL Sunday right now. And before we get into the scores, we got some very unlikely teams at the top of the NFL right now. The New England Patriots, 11 and 2, sitting on top of the AFC East. And then we got Baltimore and Pittsburgh tied that's with a 6 and 6 record. Not very good, but I'm going to be leaning towards Baltimore there. And then in the AFC West, we got Denver sitting on top at 10 and 2. And then the AFC South, we got Jacksonville and Indianapolis tied at 8 and 4 records. And then we got everyone else in the hunt. Chargers 8 and 4, Buffalo 8 and 4, Kansas City 6 and 6. When everyone has it out for you, when you're Kansas City, you're on everyone's map. Everyone's gonna give you their best. It's like you're playing the Celtics in the NBA. Everyone's gonna give you their best, and you're not gonna get anyone giving you a day off in the NFL. Excuse me. So if we're gonna get into the current scores, Miami's up 21-7 on New York right now. I think they're gonna win that game. Pittsburgh's up on Baltimore 10-3. I'm still gonna take Baltimore there in Baltimore. Tampa Bay, New Orleans tied 7-7. That game's a dud no matter what. Jacksonville on top 21-7 in Jacksonville on top of the Colts. This is a very big game for Jacksonville and the Colts. The winner of that takes the sole lead of the AFC South. And Jacksonville has always been beating Indianapolis as of lately. But nothing's a guarantee. But right now, Jacksonville up by 14, 13 minutes in the second quarter, plenty of time left there. Uh, the Titans are up 14-10 on the Browns. Good luck, Shador Sanders. It doesn't really seem like he's a first string quarterback, but he's out there to prove himself. And Cam Ward and the Titans are on top of them right now, 14-10. The Vikings are up 14-0 on Washington. Seattle is tied with Atlanta 3-3. 6 minutes left in the second quarter. And Cincinnati up on Buffalo 14-11. There's an odd score there, 11. And with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second quarter. And the rest of the games left are Denver, Las Vegas. Good luck, Las Vegas. Chicago and Green Bay. I'm going to take Green Bay at home. Chicago's been on a run, but they can't win every game, so I'm going to take Green Bay. And then we got the Rams at the Cardinals. I'm gonna go with the Rams there. Two two records flipped. The Rams at 9-3, Cardinals at 3-9. And then Houston at Kansas City. That's gonna be a big game. Kansas City's pretty much all but out. And if they do drop this and go 6-7, I do believe that they have a very long hill to climb. And then in Houston, with CJ Stroud, he was a very, very top quarterback in his first season or two, and now he's having that sophomore slump, and injuries, of course. That's holding back Houston with CJ Stroud not performing at a level he used to. But it's a very big game for Houston and Kansas City. I'm gonna take Kansas City. Who knows? Maybe the refs might help him out again. And Houston's already have a hard time with Jacksonville and Indy both at 10, excuse me, at 8-4, and they're both fighting for that top spot. And Texans are not far behind with a 7-5 record. Thursday night's game, Cowboys and Lions. That was almost a playoff game in itself. They both needed very, very badly to win in order to stay alive in the playoff hunt. And Detroit pulled it off. Cowboys, they were very hot, very hot. And the Lions stopped that streak and kept their playoff hopes alive. A lot NFL season's very fun right now. A lot of teams coming out of the woodworks like New England, Chicago. Those guys are definitely coming out of the woodworks, making this season very interesting. Along with college football, that college football bracket now coming out. I don't know if it's the first or second year that it's out, but the very interesting teams, I gotta say, like Ole Miss, Tulane, just for them to get one win makes it worth it. only four teams in the college playoff is not enough, in my opinion. You don't want people saying what if, what if. That's why we play the game. Play the game so you don't say what if. The top four teams aren't enough. In my opinion, I think eight would have been fine, but 12 is fine too. Get those James Madison universities in there, get those Tulanes in there, get those Ole Misses in there so we can watch those games. And if they're blowouts, then they're blowouts. Screw it. But give them a chance and watch that Cinderella story game, because if any of those teams do win, then it does make expanding worth it, because if you only had four teams, then they wouldn't be in it to begin with. That's why it's worth it, in my opinion, to give the Tulanes and the Ole Misses and those JMUs a chance. And now with the bracket out, it looks really fun to me. It's a lot more fun than four teams, definitely. Let's get into some MLB, guys. The Dodgers, defending champs, back-to-back returning champs. It feels good as a LA Dodger fanboy. Growing up, always been a Dodger fan. Both my grandparents from my mom and dad's side having season tickets, taking me numerous times going to games, 2, 3 times a week, and knowing that lineup from top to bottom as a kid, I was definitely a devoted fan. Now, the question here is, are the Dodgers ruining baseball? Because it was asked a lot in the past season. It's been asked a lot ever since they signed Otani. Are they ruining baseball, buying up everybody, making it unfair? And I don't know why it's a new question, because that's what the Yankees have been doing since 1990, buying up everybody. And how many championships do they have to show for it in the last 25 years? One. So obviously, the the notion that it not being fair and everyone else losing is not true, because the teams that have been doing it, the Yankees, they've been losing. With one championship in the last 25 years, they have been losing. Even if they are in the playoffs, that's not the Yankees standard. The Yankee standards to win it all, and they don't do it. Now the Dodgers are back-to-back champions. They're obviously doing it a better way. And if for the other teams to be mad that they're spending the money, well then spend the money. Do it. Obviously you're not going to make as much money as the Dodgers, but you have that money. Teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates, they don't even use all their assets to sign whoever they can. And guys like Paul Skeens, he's the one suffering the consequences, not sniffing the playoffs. And we'll see where he goes. There's rumors are that the Yankees want him. The Yankees want everybody. But no, the Dodgers are not ruining baseball. The Yankees have been doing the same thing, and they have won one championship. It's either one or zero in the last 25 years. So you can't say that the Dodgers ruining it. They're just copying the Yankees. I don't know what took them so long to do it, and the Dodgers are doing a better job. And there's more eyes on baseball now. When's the last time the MLB has had this much popularity? When Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire were playing? If that's the case, it's been too long since the MLB has had this much popularity. Now there's way more eyes on it. We got superstars making people gravitate towards the league. Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Paul Skeens, now Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The guy had a out of this world performance, and pitched for I don't know how many innings during the World Series. Had one complete game, came back, and threw 3 or 4 innings after already throwing 100 pitches, unheard of. And that's why he won the MVP. He earned it, and right now he's the GOAT, not Otani. Otani might have the stats, but he did not get the Dodgers that World Series title. He helped for sure, but it was Yamamoto, hence him being the MVP. I'm not going to argue with that. No, the Dodgers are not ruining baseball, not by a long shot. Because of them, there's millions more eyes on the game, on our superstars around the world, because of what the Dodgers are doing, helping the sport. Now for some NBA. Everything just starting out, but talking about bad takes, bad predictions, man. Me saying the Clippers were gonna go farther than the Lakers for the 2025 season. Yikes. Talk about a swing and a miss. And it's not like I was coming off as delusional. The Clippers roster, the Clippers won more than 50 games last year. And when you looked at the roster this year, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, Zubac, that doesn't sound like a team that should be starting off 6-16. But for some reason, the Clippers are in a deep, deep hole now. Deep hole. And it's still early, obviously, so I'm not going to say they're done. Of course not. But they got a deep hole to dig themselves out of. And the season just begun still. Right now, we're about 25 games in, so we're about a quarter through the season. A quarter. Still plenty of games left to play. But talk about not seeing this coming from the Clippers. No doubt. And Chris Paul, another headline with the Clippers, being dismissed by them. You can't blame the Clippers. Obviously, he was being disruptive to the team. This isn't superstar CP3. This isn't Lob City CP3. This isn't 35-year-old CP3. This is 41-year-old CP3 playing 2 to 5 minutes a game. You can't have the same mouth that you've had your whole career when you're not providing the same work that you've been shown to provide. Lob City, Charlotte, Oklahoma, San Antonio, all those teams, yes, you have the leeway. That's what Chris Paul even posted himself. That's you have the leeway to be the leader you want to be. But you're not going to be able to have that same leeway when you're playing 2 to 5 minutes a game, averaging 1 to 2 points a game, and thinking there's not going to be any consequences for running your mouth. And obviously, the Clippers probably did give him leeway, but when you're disrupting the team and the team's already in a bad spot, you gotta go. CP3 is a Clippers legend, obviously. Those Lob City days, probably some of the best basketball that people got to watch on TV. Talk about a good product out there. Um, those days are long gone, and Chris Paul he had to realize that you can't be acting the same way when it's a completely different time, a completely different team, and you're a completely different player. So I don't blame the Clippers for dismissing him. I'm assuming he was being very disruptive. They're not gonna dismiss him for nothing. Maybe make him a scapegoat. No, I don't think so. He has too big of a legacy to use him as a scapegoat, but they had to do it. They had to do it. He was probably being way too disruptive, and they're already in a bad spot as it is. So, if he was being disruptive, he's obviously not helping the case with the Clippers already being 10 games under 500 at 6-16. Talk about a cold take, but no one saw that coming with the Clippers roster, and there's still plenty of basketball to be played. Lakers, on the other hand, doing what they were expected to do with Luka Doncic and LeBron, Austin Reeves. They're sitting, second seed, first seed in the West. Very nice, very nice. Now plenty of games to play. Not even much to get into with the Lakers. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and there's a lot of games to be played, like I just said. So you can't go too deep into that. Tennis, ATP Finals just wrapped up. Now, if you don't know what the ATP Finals are, if you're a golf fan, it's just like the FedEx Championship, the FedEx Finals. What it is a tournament at the end of the season where the top 8 players compete for the year-end prize for the final, if you will. The FedEx and the PGA, they take the top 8 players and they have their own tournament, and I believe that's what comes out to be the PGA Championship. That's what the ATP Finals are. The top eight players at the end of the season come together for the finals, for the year-end finals, and it sounds like a fifth major, a fifth slam, but I won't be as quick to call it that because you're not playing a full pool of competitors. You're not playing 160. There's not 164 players like a U.S. Open, like a French Open. This is the ATP Finals. It's only the top 8 players. Yes, you're playing the best of the best competition, but when you're not competing against a full pool of players, then it won't be a fifth slam for me, but it's definitely like a conference championship. You know, is you're still competing in a tournament, and it's the top eight, which makes you want it even more. And that's an easy comparison to give you is, the PGA, it's like the FedEx Championship when they take the top players, and I believe it becomes the PGA Championship when it boils down to the top eight players. And in the ATP Finals, wouldn't you know it, make room for two, the big two, back in the final at the ATP Finals. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannick Sinner competing for the ATP Final Championship, and Sinner pulled it off. So it's not a major, obviously, but it is a singles title. And talk about majors: Alcaraz with six, Jannik Sinner with four. This is what tennis needs. This is what every sport needs. It needs faces of the league. It needs faces of the league to grow the sport and to keep eyes on the sport. If there's no faces, if there's no superstars, it just doesn't make the league feel as big. And that's what we got here in the ATP in tennis is Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz with six majors, Sinner with four, and they're both under 25 years old. That's how I know tennis is in good hands right now. They both already have more than a handful of majors, and I'm very curious to how many they both end up with. I'm more of a Sinner fan just because of the pop he has off his racket, but I like Alcaraz. I'm Mexican. I got a little bit of Spanish. Alcaraz is from Spain, but I'm just a sucker for Sinner's backhand for some reason. They both have two-handed backhands. I have a one-handed backhand, and but Sinner's just has a different sound. But give it up for Alcaraz. He has two more majors than Yannick Sinner, and they're both very young. Both have a lot of majors to play. So right now Alcaraz on top with six, but Sinner not far behind with four. And the next major coming up, I believe, is the Australian Open in February. So that's the next major coming up, and we'll see who takes that one. Carlos Alcaraz with two French Opens, two Wimbledons, two U.S. Opens. Sinner with two Australian Opens, one Wimbledon, one U.S. Open. So all Sinner is missing is that French Open title, and he had it in his palm, in the palms of his hands. I believe he was up on Alcaraz 2 sets to love, which means zero, 2 sets to 0, and Alcaraz came back and beat him 3 sets to 2. I believe it was a 5 hour and 25 minute match, possibly a world record. I think it was, maybe not for all of tennis, but for the French Open. And Alcaraz came back and snatched it from Sinner. If that did not happen, Alcaraz would have five, and Sinner would have five, and we'd be tied up, having a different conversation about Alcaraz not being on top. But right now he's on top by two, and Sinner was this close to it being 5-5 in majors. But he let that French Open slip away, and now we got 6-4, which is still nothing to be ashamed of at all, especially because they're both under 25 years old and they both have a lot of majors to play. Well, guys, that's all the sports that I wanted to talk about. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to let me know if you're here because of golf. Let me know in the chat down below because I am curious. I did start this channel because of golf, but I can't forget that I'm passionate about more than one sport. I started playing golf when I was 30 years old. I'm 31. I was probably 29, who knows? But that's when I started playing golf. I was playing tennis for probably 5 years before I started golf. I was playing baseball, basketball, and football for 10 years. Who knows how many years it was, from a kid all the way till the end of high school. And then those sports came after. But if you're here because of golf, let me know. I'm curious. I started the channel because of golf. I had a leg injury, as you guys know, and being on bed rest, watching this, I believe it was Not a Perfect Golfer. That's the channel name. He was just posting his rounds out there in the UK, and it just sparked a light bulb in my head. That well, how come no one's doing this in Los Angeles or in California? There's tons of courses here in Southern California, and I haven't found a channel that's made it the goal to showcase as many courses as they can. There's a lot of channels where guys they like to play random courses, but I don't believe it's their interest to showcase as many courses as they can. I think it's just more about playing the game and the content have you, the personalities, the drinking challenges, whatever. And maybe it is their goal to showcase as many courses as they can. That's just automatic for them. They go to whatever course they want. And if it's a new course, even better, because now you're showing viewers a course they possibly never seen before. But that was my goal at first. And then, of course, realizing, wait a minute, golf isn't the only sport I play. Why would I make it the only sport on our channel here at Nomad Sports? Can't do that. There's a reason I started this channel, and it's not just for golf, it's for all sports. So even though I haven't posted a golf round in a bit, that's coming very soon, guys. Don't worry. I'm always planning it up here. And we started this channel to make content. So even though we've been lagging on the golf, damn it, we're gonna make content for you guys. And that's what we're doing here right now, making another episode of the Nomad Sports podcast, talking about all things sports because that's what our interests are. All things sports, not just golf, not just tennis, not just baseball, all things sports. So that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Very cool that the end of the college football playoff bracket is out, and we got 12 teams in it. If I'm gonna make a pick on it, you know what I mean? Maybe I'll go Ole Miss to take it all, or Tulane, but that seems like a waste of money if you were to bet on it. I'm gonna go with Indiana. Let's go with Indiana, a team who's I don't know if they ever won a national championship, but here they are now at the 1 seed, just beating Ohio State. Some people could say Ohio State didn't have much to play for. They're already automatically locked into the playoff. So why would they give it their all and risk something happening when you're playing with a different intensity? Who knows? But that's why you play the game is to win. And I'm gonna go with Indiana to win it all. If they don't, who knows who it would be? Maybe Ohio State or maybe a Texas Tech. I love those underdog teams. I'm not gonna go with Tulane or Ole Miss. I'll go with Indiana and my dark horse being Texas Tech. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today on the Nomad Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. We talked about NFL predictions, call it and college football playoff predictions. The Dodgers, are they bad for baseball? NBA, Clippers and Lakers. Clippers falling. If you This is the sound of the Clippers dropping. And there's still a lot of games to be played. So who knows where they'll end up at. Lakers doing what they're supposed to be doing. And Detroit sitting on top of the East. That's a surprise. But it's too early to talk about NBA. I'm not as big as an NBA fan as I used to be. The game's in a bad spot right now, man. It seems like players don't want to play. The season's too long, in my opinion. And it's just not as interesting as I used to be. Like I guess the last time, like with the Lob City Clippers, that was a much better product that they were putting out, but just in basketball in general, the NBA in general, much better at that time. And it's not even that long ago. 10 years could be long ago, but people saying basketball was better in the 80s and the 90s. Well, I was 5 years old in the 90s, so I can't speak for basketball fans, but in the late to 20 teens, 2012s, those Lob City Clippers, they remind me of good basketball, and that's just not what the NBA is right now. It's just tough to watch. The season's too long. Even the pace of play seems kind of boring. And I don't know if it's just me. Let me know what you guys think about the state of the NBA right now. And the NFL, going back to New England on top. Is New England gonna make a run with Mike Vrabel there in his first year? I'm not a big fan of Drake May. I believe he's their quarterback, so I'm gonna say that they're fool's gold. I don't have them coming out of the AFC. If I'm gonna make a prediction for the AFC, I'm gonna go uh let's go with man. Baltimore and Pittsburgh are both at 6-6, so it's not like they're playing good ball right now. But Buffalo 8-4. Jacksonville is kind of a dark horse tied with Indiana, or excuse me, Indianapolis right now. And that Jacksonville score, they're playing Indianapolis right now. And Jacksonville right now is up 21-10 with 2 minutes in the first half. So um they still got to take care of business against Indianapolis, but I'll take Jacksonville as my dark horse to make it to the AFC Championship. And maybe they're playing, I'll say Buffalo. Jacksonville, they've been giving it to Pittsburgh in the playoffs whenever they played them. I remember when they played Big Ben, what was it, 2016, and then they played them again. And Jacksonville took care of business both of those games and beat Pittsburgh. Sorry, Papas. I got a homie named Papas, and he's a Pittsburgh fan. Sorry, man. Hate to remind you, but that's what happened. So that'll be my prediction for the AFC. I'll have Jacksonville taking on Buffalo. And then in the NFC, Philadelphia sitting at 8-4. They just lost to Chicago, and Philly fans have a very, very short temper. They're probably they don't got much going on out there, and they want blood. Anytime a Philadelphia team is not performing, they want blood. And right now that's what they want with Philadelphia. They feel like Philadelphia is not doing what they're expected to do, which is win. Just like the Philadelphia Phillies. They got booed against the Dodgers. Now, we got Philly at 8-4, the Rams at 9-3, Seattle at 9-3, San Francisco at 9-4, and Chicago at 9-3. Man, I'm gonna go ahead and say that Philly comes up short because they're too up and down. And I'm gonna go with Chicago, even though I don't have Chicago beating Green Bay today. I'm gonna take Chicago and the Rams meeting up for the NFC title. There's your prediction right there. Book it. Mark it down. And back to the MLB. No, the Dodgers are not ruining baseball. They have a millions of more eyes now on the game because of the Dodgers. Definitely not ruining baseball. And then the NBA, same thing. What we said earlier. Clippers falling down a hole. Lakers doing their job. Too early in the season to get much into it. So we'll have plenty more NBA to come in the season. And to cap it off, yes, it was the ATP Finals talking about Jannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz, the big two, the new big two, facing off for the ATP Finals, and Jannick Sinner taking home the singles title, just like the PGA guys. That's why it's another reason why I love to have this channel be about more than one sport because there's connections and there's similarities, especially with tennis and golf. In golf, there's four majors. In tennis, there's four majors. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And maybe that'll make people's interest peak more towards tennis if you're a golf fan, or towards golf if you're a tennis fan. I don't see why not. When there's that similarity of, hey, there's four majors in that sport too. Huh, that's cool. Maybe people will watch it more. And that's the goal of the channel, is to grow the game. And there's a lot of games that we're trying to grow here, and we're just doing it out of our passion, out of our love for the games. So that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you guys once again for tuning in and watching, listening, wherever you are, to the Nomad Sports Podcast. Thank you guys again. Let me know in the chat. Are you here because of golf? Are you here because of a different sport? Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Nomad Sports Podcast. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Nomad Sports channel. Thank you guys once again, and I'll see you guys on the next one.